Yesterday, Norwich faced Chelsea in the Premier League. However, the story of the day did not come from off of the pitch. On March 10th, Chelsea was officially seized by the UK government as sanctions were passed on to Chelsea's criminal Russian oligarch owner, Roman Abramovich, leaving the future of the club in complete disarray. A special permit was given for the club to continue its basic operations. However, under this permit, they cannot buy or sell players. Fans cannot purchase any new tickets or official merch in order to shut down Abramovich's revenue streams, and the club also cannot sign any new contracts while still having to honor their previous contracts. This despite now no longer having any revenue streams or cash injections from Daddy Roman. I think you can see the problem here financially. Another funny bit here is that they are only allowed to spend £20,000 for travel expenses per each away fixture for the entire team. So it looks like Chelsea are flying commercial and staying in hostels for the rest of their Champions League away fixtures. Chelsea really went from parking the bus to having to take it to their games. In addition, sponsors are pulling out at record pace as they lost their jersey sponsor within hours of the sanctions coming out, and more sponsors around the world are reevaluating their relationship with the club, which in the last 24 hours alone have lost over $50 million a year on sponsorships. All of this culminating together definitely is going to impact their status as a global brand, so even that is under threat right now. I mean, just imagine the disaster of having this massive organization with fat contracts to honor, and now having hardly any revenue, sponsors jumping ship left and right, not even having the ability to sell players as assets or re-sign them to keep them as assets, and worst of all, having to rely on the British government to sell you to a proper owner at an expedited pace.
Good luck.
The longer this goes on, the less likely it becomes that someone even wants to buy the club, as in its current state, honoring their contracts without revenue or cash injections just means the balance sheet is going to be showing tens of millions in the red every single month. And hell, the new owner may not even want to inject any cash at all. This goes without even mentioning their now inability to re-sign their entire youth academy that's on one-year deals at La Cobham, the uncertainty around how the club's $1.5 billion debt to Abramovich will be settled, and the potential of going into administration in May, which may dock them 9 points on the Premier League table, threatening their top 4 position. With the uncertainty of what finances new ownership will even bring to the club in the wake of Chelsea's massive wage bill that most clubs, even most rich clubs, would fail to support, it's fair to say the future of the club is in question. I don't think fans really quite understand the scope of what's happened here yet. It may actually not be okay. And one thing is for sure, it will never be the same at Chelsea, and it will not just be back to business as usual if and when the club does get sold. The Abramovich era has come to an end with a screeching halt, a car crash if you will, and to be honest, maybe it wasn't soon enough. See, ethics in football are a tricky thing. You have the hopes, dreams, and even economies of entire local communities hanging in the balance on the coattails of owners. Owners who by nearly any philosophical moral standard are objectively evil people. Not even through utilitarianism could one begin to justify the atrocities of many of football's biggest suppliers of cash. And before the dawn of a World Cup that's marred by human rights abuses, where the sanctity of life has been outweighed by corruption, greed, and profit, the moral implications of our financial support as fans is a complex problem which we may no longer be able to ignore. I'm not saying that if you support Chelsea, PSG, or Newcastle, or if you watch the Qatar World Cup that you're evil, though if you were one of the thousands chanting Roman Abramovich during a moment of silence for Ukrainians before that Burnley game, then you are kind of pretty wretched. And I'm not saying fans can't support who they want to support. After all, many fans were there before their owners, well, maybe not in Chelsea's case, but many will be there after their owners leave. Fans are bigger than the club, and an owner does not define their club. But I think now is a better time than ever? No. The time of which we must reevaluate the relationship between supporters and clubs. If protests were strong enough to stop the Super League, then maybe they're strong enough to bring about an ethics committee that reviews new ownership applications. And if we are willing to stop games to protest the Super League, but not stop games to protest these humanitarian injustices, then forget what we have to say about the owners. what does that say about us? I have heard many people say this situation is unfair to the fans of Chelsea. But hold on a minute. Let's actually try to be fair. Many fans hardly batted an eye at dirty Russian blood money winning them trophies. Hell, they even celebrated it. Fans aren't responsible for the crimes of Roman, but they sure as hell were the beneficiaries of it. They signed their deal with the devil 19 years ago, and they enjoyed their time. So can they really cry now that the devil has come to collect? Really, what is so unfair about that? Newcastle will have their day. PSG continues having their days. But it just so happens that today's day is Chelsea's. The only people I really feel bad for here are regular people who are losing their jobs and their sources of income. But serious question, do we have a responsibility as fans for letting it get here and allowing those regular people to be in this position? Do we draw the line at no longer having promotion and relegation, but not at allowing football to be a tool of soft power for dictatorships, genociders, and human rights abusers? When did football lose its morality? Or did it ever exist in the first place? When did we lose our morality? Or did that ever exist in the first place as well? Maybe at the end of the day, we're all hypocrites, just some of us having more money than others. I don't know. I really don't know. But what I do know is look at this bird, baby! Go, baby, go! How can you not send him a through ball there? What a run in behind. Sign this prospect right away. Oh, right, they can't. Look at this, defending corners at one end, attacking corners on the other end. This bird covered more ground than Messi does for PSG. Chelsea may not thank me, but get the contract out, put it on the table, let him sign it. Let him write whatever number he wants on it. Pigeons at the wheel, man. Football is back.